Okie dokie, so this is the Venomized Immortal Hulk. This has got to be one of the best customs I have ever done. I have absolutely loved making this figure. I have put my heart and soul into it. This is truly my style. This is full creative freedom to a certain extent, but for the majority of it, the dude was like, yep, just do whatever you want, basically. And he obviously had the design, which was this. This is the general design. But then once I started to sculpt, probably just up here, and added a couple of the tentacles, he's like, hey man, it's looking great. Do what you think would do the custom justice. And I was like, that is pretty much what you want when you take on commissions. Full creative freedom. And this is what you produce. Something so passionate as Symbiote is for me. I love symbiotes. My name's Symbioteseeker. Obviously, I crave these things. They just look awesome, which is crazy because, you know, with all that said, I don't own many. I make so many of these Venoms that I don't physically own any true Venom customs. I sell them before I even get a chance to shelve them. So with that said, I'm going to go through this. Details, there's tons of details. I just enjoyed it. I just kept going. Every time I saw like a slight mistake, I'd go, I'd fix it up, I'd add more detail and keep going into it more and more. The logo was one of the things that he had to have. The customer was really, really passionate about having the logo on the front and back. Now, I'd already sculpted a lot of it in, and on the reference art, it's kind of like on the side like this, so you don't really get to see all that much, other than maybe about this. So what I did is I sculpted just from the top of my head. I wanted to keep the iconic logo bit here, but then all this broken up because it is a mess. It's the Immortal Hulk comic book. When Venom attaches himself, it's like a part attachment. It's not true. That's why he's still got the lower half Hulk and the top half is like Venom, and it's kind of taken over. It's almost like Hulk is so big that Venom can't consume him, which is a little bit strange because he's taken on a lot bigger characters. But the design, man, like it's so unasymmetrical. It's like so weirdly proportioned. Everything's just odd. When I was doing the head, I had a lot of inspiration from ocean dwelling creatures, and I took those inspirations and I forced it into the teeth and how it looked. I also really enjoy It the Clown, so when he opens his mouth, I had like the idea to go with that on the teeth. Very, very detailed. Tons of slime. The head was completely resculpted from the Venom bath. So what I did is I cut all the jaw out, repositioned it, changed the neck peg because it was only half a head I was given as custom fodder, and then I resculpted the eyes and changed it. That's why the neck sits like this. Now, a lot of people either love this or hate this. It's called lollipopping, and I talk about it all the time. Personally, my opinion, I love that. You know, put it in a position that makes it feel good to you. If you want neck articulation, you know, this guy can turn his head whatever way you want, and then you put it in a position and it looks, that's awesome. That's articulation. I will always sacrifice sculpt for articulation. With that being said, this guy can articulate his head any way you want. Like, it's tons of range. Tons of range. You just have to position it in a position that you enjoy and you like. And, you know, if you don't like lollipopping, that's fine. You know, I always say each to their own, but each figure I make, I will try to get lollipopping. Even if, you know, it doesn't have it, I will raise the neck up because I want that articulation. I want it to be posed in a position that will look really good. And it's going to sit on a shelf unless you're going to use it for ACBA, and then it's more articulation for that. So there's no real downside to me other than if you take it off the shelf and go, oh look, it's got a weird neck peg. But that's, again, each to their own. The design, let's go through the design of this character. So I'm going to start at the head. Again, lots and lots of detail on the head. Let's go through the details. I'm struggling to get this guy on camera because he's so big. The neck has tons of detailing. You can see like some areas are like high gloss and some are like matted down. That's to give the effect of slime. And, you know, I've wet blended these shading of the Hulk to give it depth, detailing all through. And I went into the butterfly joints too, you can see. And this side as well, with little gooey spots. The arm, detailed. You know, there's a way to do these symbiote goo. You have to just keep that sculpt super thin. Every single part of this, just detailed. The hand was completely resculpted. It was a Hulk. I made it super sharp. It's like a claw. You know how they can shapeshift? It's even got shading, so you can see that it like fades into like a purple underneath. I didn't want it to be clean. I wanted it to actually have shading, because this is a very high detail custom. And then on this side, same again, you got all this detail, and probably won't even come up on camera. I say that every time, because what happens is the customer will see it's on the video, and then when they get it in hand, they're like, oh my god, you don't get to see all those paint apps. And I even put the white, because that's where the logo would sit on the hand. And again, I sculpted all these and raised them up, and I even painted the fingernails. This is slightly bendy, but I wouldn't bend it. You know, it's just to give it some leeway, and it's the same for these. These are all bendy, but I wouldn't purposely go out of your way to bend them. And the same for these as well. These are bendy, but I wouldn't mess with them because they're not meant to be bent. But I did give it bendiness, I suppose, so it didn't break. It's not fragile. The logo, you know, I tried to keep that on par. And again, you can see slight blacking underneath where it's like only just consumed him. I had the back here, and you'll see even the back, it's got like little white dots where it's like dropped onto him. And then what I did is I highlighted them with a black, so it looks like it's slowly working up there. And then the logo obviously reaches the bottom here, and then it's scooping all down the trousers and all here. And then what I've done is I've faded it, so it's like a black to purple, and then I shaded the bottom of the legs and did the toes as well. And on this side, it's almost like it's gone through his trousers, you can see. And it's black and it's faded down, and then it's gooping all over his ankle and his foot, and yeah. So tons of detail in this dude. Absolutely tons of detail. I have absolutely loved making this guy. And it's the same dude who ordered the Immortal Hulk head. And what's great is he recently commissioned the Immortal Hulk body to get done as well, so I'll be able to show you guys that, and it'll have like the rib cage ripped out and all the acid effects, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. This guy's giving me full creative freedom to it, like pretty much to the full extent, which I absolutely love. If you get commissions and you get full creative freedom, that's the best thing an artist could ever ask for, honestly. So I'm going to start off with some standard Venom characters and Spider-Man characters. So let's go straight into it with Pizza Spider-Man. Here he is next to PS4 Spider-Man. Here he is next to Spider-Ham. Here he is next to McGargan Venom. Here he is next to the 80th anniversary Hulk. Here he is next to my custom Old Man Logan Venomized. And here he is next to my custom Agent Venom. Here he is next to Marvel Legends Beast. And another savage, beastly character, Sabretooth, with my custom head sculpt. Here he is next to Cletus Cassidy Carnage. And here he is next to Scream. Here he is next to the Kingpin Bath. Big shout out to Matthew for getting this for me. Thank you so much, I appreciate you. And here he is next to Rhino. Storm Collectibles Sector. And his brother-in-arms, Cyrax. Here he is next to Doomslayer. Or if you're retro, Doom Guy. And just for the sake of it, here he is next to Wolverine from the Marvel Legends series. So I had an absolute ball with this guy. This guy has been my favorite custom so far to work on as a commission. I had full creative freedom. Absolutely amazing design. Loved it. I cannot wait to work on more symbiotes. I have so many symbiotes planned for myself. I am taking a break, I have said that before, from commissions. They're closed right now. but I will be opening them back up maybe around Christmas. We'll see. But for now, this has been a treat. We've got a lot more commissioned symbiotes to come. Some really nice ones with a lot of creative freedom again. So you're going to see this max detail. So let's go through articulation. So as stated earlier, we got the neck, which is amazing, if you ask me. Again, that's personal taste, how you want to get it articulated, and you know, there's tons of shift and play. Now with the neck itself, one thing I will advise is these teeth. Everyone always asks me about these teeth, but what I want to talk about is how to handle this with care. These teeth are somewhat fragile. If you're articulating it or you want the head to pop off, you need to push from the lower jaw and keep your finger away from the teeth at the back and pull quite swiftly in one go, because if you don't, you may touch these teeth. And you can touch them, but I just wouldn't advise going near them because they are quite fragile and they can break off. So what I would recommend is to not mess with it, and when you articulate it, just be careful with the head. And that goes for any figure that I make these teeth on. They're not strong plastic like this. They are fragile in a sense. They can be handled, and if it falls off a shelf, they're not going to break or anything, but you know, pressure on them will snap them off. And yeah, I advise that you try not to go near them. These are statue quality action figures and their details, but certain things like these teeth that I manufacture myself, you know, they can be quite intimidating when it comes to putting them onto figures because of their how fragile they can be, unfortunately. But I would more than willing to take on the fragileness, and I'm sure a lot of other people are. If you're just safe about it, you just consider that they could break. You know, their design is too gorgeous to pass up. You know, you just, me personally, I will always choose these teeth, even if I run the risk of breaking them every now and again. But with that said, you know, we got the butterfly joints, which are massive. Again, I extended them so you can get max range, huge. I always extend the joints because I like to have my joints to be able to do max articulation. This has been completely re-engineered as well, the inside of this torso, so you can push it all the way back. You do get slight gapping now, but you get quite good range. Let me move this hand so you can see. So yeah, you get quite good back now, and you get just as much, you get even more forward now. Before it didn't range that much. Let me show you with a Hulk. See how the Hulk only goes to there? This one tilts over far more. You can see, yeah, and this one only goes to there. So you do get more range, if you can see that. And again, I'll show you with the back, like that's heaps. I'll move this. And again, with the butterfly joints, you only get about that far on the Hulk. I do like articulation. I've said it many, many times. I absolutely love articulation. They sit basically the same. Let's just put him here just in case we need him again later. Then you get the waist swivel, and it's all black and purple in there. Bicep swivel. Yeah, bicep swivel, perfectly fine. And then you get the elbow joint and the swivel. You get the articulation in the wrists. And this is made out of a clay, like a putty type substance that I create myself. It's a combination of a couple of putties, but overall it's like sets like plastic, and it's really, really hardy. Then waist swivel, I think I mentioned that. Same on this side. Then you've got, you know, kicks out, you got the thigh cut, and this is all the Hulk, so I'm not really going to go over it too much. I didn't do anything here. Then you got the ankle articulation. Again, it doesn't affect any of this. So yeah, his articulation is pretty damn good for a big dude. These big monsters, these 80th anniversary Hulks, are my favorite to work on. They are incredibly hard to remove paint rubs, so I had a lot of pinch points here, and here. To counteract that, in the actual design, it's got this green here, so it allowed pivot and it doesn't rub. And on this, I had a bit of rubbing, but I managed to clean that up. The back unfortunately had a lot of rubbing, so what I did is I used this as the design as green, and I got rid of the paint rub, but just in case I kept the design flowing down, so when you do articulate it, there's no paint rub. And if there was, it would be green underneath. So that has been the Immortal Hulk Venomized.
Enjoy the fate while it lasts.
Link in the description below. Subscribe!
Venom.